Ренат, она должна стоять не лопнуться? Нет, Ренат. Смотри, когда воду пьешь, берешь перчик, заглатываешь 4 зерна.
4 зерна что чего?
Перчик черный. Для сжигания жира. Жанна, у нас есть торт мороженый. Будешь?
Не могу. Миша не будет чувствовать. Я вчера была на дне рождения и что-то узнала.
Отмазка. Отмазка. Так.
Gonna start recording right away. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to session 3, mobile application testing. Looks like let's just do a little bit overview of the problems that we run into between second session and this session. Well, it looks like, the most problems appear that the people are not really following the homework instructions. There are a lot of extra questions that, could be easily answered if you read these instructions. Lots of people are still trying to access the folders that we are not using yet, and getting frustrated. Again, homework instructions. If you don't know what to do next, you haven't been told to do anything. Our team leaders are working hard, okay, but everybody is having its limits. So please be concerned. There are about 200 people in here. Okay, it is physically impossible to answer the same question over and over again. So we're just team leaders. They are acting according to my instructions, and again, your patience and your organizational skills would be very helpful in the future. All right. So I want to personally invite on one online. There's a Skype name for the person who got offended, hurt. Unfortunately, this is what this person was claiming. And this is my third time I'm inviting this person to contact me directly. Twice I already invited her or him. I don't know who is that. No response. So on our online Skype name, please contact me. If you're not contacting me, you probably don't need this issue to get resolved. Guys, I really appreciate our team who, hold on just 1 second, who were able to help me with the Walmart final table. So I posted it to your Walmart folder, and the guys were working really hard collecting all the information and all the bullet points, and they made a full comparison table between the Walmart web application and the mobile native application, which is you can download from the Google Play or App Store. The only thing for everybody, I just want to see what is a digital museum. Guys, if you have time, maybe you can contribute into this particular option that the mobile app has, the web app has, and the mobile does not have. I personally, didn't dig, for a long time into the web, so there's something new or whatever it is. So if you can give a little bit more information about the digital museum, I would really appreciate it. Otherwise, this is a complete list. And, the guys just compiled the document. And, of course, all of you contributed into this document. And I personally wanted to have it for a long time. I just didn't have time to do that. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate this. So, what questions do you have? We have about 5 minutes to answer. I have about 5 minutes to answer your questions. And please start typing. Looks like, the most questions were about how to play the media files, where to get these media files. Well, in homework 1, you created those media files, right? Then you had to play it back through your native media player. Then you had to open the Lamotive application and play it from there. And most of the people, as I can see, you guys were doing really, really great. So we have a pretty good data right now. What's going on. Some of the devices are unable to process or unable to create this. Now, and these instructions are also going to be in a homework. All this media, the failed media, should be posted on our Google Drive. I'll open the directory and under your name, or you will do that, and we're just gonna put those files. How to make these videos? Nadia, upside down landscape in 720. You just put the camera upside down, turn it to your right or to the left. If you have back camera, you just have to use that. So anyway, what does a camera upside down in a landscape? Was the right question? Major? No. What is it? Technologies major service providers use. Yes, absolutely. It's GSM and CDMA, and the biggest difference between these technologies is the SIM card, right? And you also had to go through the video, right? Did you watch the video? No, there's no confusion, Yelena. It's you answered it absolutely correctly. So I don't see any more questions right now. Yuri, are you with us? Manufacturers' responsibilities. We already talked about that. Manufacturers' responsibilities, guys. These questions is a little bit off from the list. We're gonna be talking about that today. Why ASUS devices are not appropriate? Because if you have to try. Did you download Lamotive application on your ASUS? So some ASUS devices, they are not supporting this application. No, this application is not supporting some ASUS devices. But like I said, you know, if you can find the similar application on Google Play or App Store, it's gonna work too. Are these questions from the interviews? Yes, absolutely, Alexander. All my presentations and all these questions are collected from the interviews. These are the questions that I collected over some time, because every time somebody is going through the mobile application testing questions, interviews, I ask the person to give me these questions, and this is basically how this presentation being done, you know, based on the interview questions. So, and you know, the red marking questions are mandatory to know. Who is developing the Lamotive? What team? It's the team of 7. They're located in Singapore. But they are very big in customers. So it's a very nice company that, you know, been on the market. It's not perfect software, and but they have testers, they have great teams, and they really, really value our input, because all of you guys have your own devices, and you can also use localization testing, so all of you are very, very valuable. And you know, once we are done, we have the test metrics that we're gonna start filling up, and I'm gonna open an access to it, and it's their test plan, and we're gonna follow it, and then we're gonna go through the regression testing. So that was a very good answer, Lenka. Yelena, I guess. So, but we will go to this, also the slide for this question. Like I said, you know, I've been shifting the slides a little bit for manufacturers' responsibilities. So just, you're absolutely right, but we're going to have this slide. So we have maybe another minute to discuss any other questions, guys. Anybody confused? Anybody something, you know, you have in mind? So start typing, and I'm just gonna open the presentation, and we're gonna dig a little bit deeper into the our mobile application testing. All right. So last time we stopped you know, talking at the slides where we were talking about the general, you know, ecosystem in mobile application testing industry. Right now, probably some of you, can I find your sheets from last sessions? I do not understand what you're talking about, so please clarify your question, Anya. What sheets? So let's just get to it later, so because I do not understand right now. So anyway, the evolution, guys, and I did not understand about upside down. You just have to put your camera upside down. You usually have your camera on the top, turn your phone down. You know, your picture would rotate, but this is, I don't care that it's gonna rotate. The main thing is your hardware. The camera is your hardware. It should be down. Yes, you just turn the phone to the direction where it's not YouTube, it's explanation, a lot of lists. I still do not understand you. I'm sorry. So if you need, you go ahead, if you speak Russian, maybe it's going to be easier for you to write in Russian, because this is kind of confusing to me right now. So, and that's perfectly okay. You don't have to say sorry or anything. So anyway, let's go back. And you know, this is kind of a fun slide. And what you guys recognize, where did you start? Probably with the Nokia, right? So 2G, who had it? 3310. Okay, what else, guys? Nokia. But you know what? I can tell you very few fun facts just to just have an idea what the companies were making. Like for example, the Nokia 1100 was one of the biggest, you know, sellers. So over 250 million pieces was sold. Okay, so that was good. And can you guess what was the price of the first mobile phone? And it was in 1983, guys. What do you think? How much it cost? 3,000? 1,000? Nah, it was $4,000, the price for the first mobile phone. And yeah, it was. So 90% of the mobile phones in Japan are waterproof. And the first mobile call was made by Martin Cooper in 1973. And you would not believe that the present mobile phones have more computing power than the computers used for Apollo 11 to land on the moon. And how much do you think the priciest phone cost right now? What do you think? The priciest phone. So, okay, what do you think, guys? 800? Nah, we are talking much more. Much more. 5,000, 3, all right, 100,000, 1 million, all right, okay, 100K, 15K. Well, let me, open the secret. So, iPhone 5 Black Diamond is the costliest phone in the world, which costs, ready? 15 million. It will take 9 weeks to build, made of 135-gram solid gold of 42 karat. And it's incrusted with a 600 white diamonds. So, that's pretty good, huh? Yes, it is way. Well, I don't know, who would do, but people are rich, so what can we do, right? So, around 80% of the world's population has a mobile phone. 70% are manufactured where? China. So, that's... Mobile phone users mostly spend their times on games and social networking. So that's a fun fact about the phones. And let's talk about the technology, what is behind. And when the first generation was developed, there was no such a term as generation. The generation of the phones, it came, this abbreviation came, and the term came when 2G was implemented. So 1G, these phones were the first mobile phones to be used, and it was introduced in 1982, and basically it completed in early 1990. Then came the 2G. It's when the technology upgraded the analog signal to digital. 3G technology made use of electromagnetic wavelengths, and we call it spectrum. And 4G, we call an ultra broadband access for mobile devices. So basically right now we are on the 4th generation plus LTE, and LTE means long-term evolution, or the highly technical process involved in a high-speed data for smartphones and mobile phones. So what are the advantages of 4G LTE? It is currently the most advanced network when referring to speed. 4G LTE network can download data anywhere from 5 to 12 megabits per second, which allows for smooth streaming of live video and better response times for multiple online gamers. So right now, guys, you have to understand, when you are referring for LTE, there is no such a term, LTE, stand alone, okay? It's always 4G plus LTE or just 4G LTE. So basically, like we were talking briefly before on the 5G, Samsung announced that it has successfully tested technology, and Huawei followed them in August of 2013, also claiming that they have this technology that would be available by 2020. So basically what they say, it's at 100 times faster than current 4G networks. Well, we will see. Now, this is basically the answer to the questions, what are manufacturers responsible for? Well, I don't know if you're Apple enthusiast or Android enthusiast, but basically Samsung is leading the market starting 2014. So it's because of its smartphones and feature phones. The price is cheaper, and people are more enthusiastic about the open source operating systems. So this is basically the answer to the slides, okay, for the what our manufacturers and makers are responsible for. So, but did you ever wonder how your cell phone came to be? And let's just talk a little bit how your phone is being made. So, before, like a components, before reaching the design phase, phone manufacturers need to decide which technologies they want to introduce in a cell phone. Then when it goes to design, and once the components or selling feature of that phones are decided, a team of designers and engineers will mock up what the phone should look like. Then we go to the software, and when it comes to smartphones, there are two main operating systems, the OSs, and one is locked to one manufacturer, so you're entering the smartphone businesses. There's only one option when it comes to software. So the iPhone uses the iOS software exclusively, and other OS include the BlackBerry OS, and which is exclusive to BlackBerry phones. The up-and-coming Windows Mobile OSs, which deals primarily with Nokia, and of course Google operating system. And then we just have the manufacturing, and after deciding what's going to be under the hood of that phone and the decisions on how it's going to be made are chosen, it's time to actually build the phone. So, and then of course the documentation, you know, and with documentation, this is what the end users basically have to deal with. Let's go to the devices. And as you guys know, mobile device is a small computing device, typically small enough to be handheld. And it's having a display screen with a miniature keyboard, and the input level could be different. So let's just see what we have in here. We have, and you know, this slide, guys, something that you would have to remember if you are testing your application. You will absolutely have to test your application on these different devices. So, and mobile devices have been designed for many applications, and they include, like, for example, mobile computers and mobile internet devices, tablet computers, wearable computers like calculators, watches, smartwatches, head-mounted displays, personal digital assistants, enterprise digital assistants, calculators, and so on and so on. So, and every application that wants to be successful absolutely have to have the majority of devices being supported. And here we're going, you know, back to ASUS, guys, you know, with the Lamotive. Yes, Lamotive does not support some of the ASUS devices, unfortunately. So basically, mobile computing is a human computer interaction by which a computer is expected to be transported during the normal usage. And basically, the principles of the mobile computing is Portability, devices and nodes connected within the mobile computing system should facilitate mobility. So then we go to the connectivity, and this defines the quality of service of the network connectivity. Then interactivity, the nodes belonging to a mobile computing systems are connected with one another to communicate and collaborate through active transaction of data. And of course, the individuality. A portable device or mobile node connected to a mobile network often denote an individual. So a mobile computing system should be able to adapt the technology to cater the individual needs and also to obtain contextual information about this node. Most importantly, of course, the security issues involved in the mobile, and we'll have the presentation about the security and how you will be performing the basic security functionality tests on the mobile applications. So because all smartphones, they are targets of attacks, and these attacks exploit weaknesses related to smartphones. They can come from means of communication like SMS, MMS, Wi-Fi networks, and of course GSM, because GSM is the most vulnerable technology, and because you guys are using the SIM card in there, so you're basically switching and switching and switching. So then, of course, many, of times phone users, they have no idea what are the basic difference between smartphone and feature phone. But, from now on, I hope I will be able to explain to you. And if this question arises at the interview, you would be able to understand. So smartphones are those which have advanced computing capability than the feature phones, while feature phones are the low-end and low-price devices. So smartphone term came into the origin in 1973. First device came to the market in 1993, but actually the term smartphone was used first in 1997 by Ericsson. So feature phones, they are low prices phones which provide basic functionality like calling, internet access, camera, music player. But you have to understand, guys, right now the feature phones can also support up to 4G technology, okay? They can support GPS. Yes, they might not have this advanced capability of processing like a 1080p video, but up to 720, why not? So before, like a smartphone, feature phones really had a very, very limited capability compared to smartphone, and the difference was huge. Now it's kind of, this line is fading. So because most smartphones right now, they're bigger, better resolution, right? 4G LTE network, which is supported, just behind other feature phones. So disadvantages of the smartphone are mostly that the battery gets exhausted fastly. There are security issues. Disadvantages of the feature phones, it's the most wanted functionality is not there. So it depends, what is the what people can afford, basically, because it's all about the price, right? So some people cannot afford it. Okay, so this is basically kind of the predicted smartphone versus feature phone shipments worldwide. And if you can see, like in 2012, just like 6 years ago, oh, no sound? You cannot see me? You cannot hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, video is recording. Can you hear me? We can? Okay, so I'm good. Thank you, guys. So somebody just lost the audio. All right, so and if you can see, guys, like in 2012, the majority of customers were using the feature phone. Why? Because, of course, in 2012, the smartphones were really, really expensive. So by 2017, as the price goes down for the smartphones, and the majority of smartphone users, they are exceeding, you know, over the and dominating over the smartphones. But again, guys, you have to understand, it depends what part of the world we are living. So there's parts of the world that the price of the smartphone compared to the salary is wider than in some parts. Also, the smartphones, you know, with all these functionalities right now, it can become pricey. So anyway, let me go further. All right, now we are really getting into the system, the operating system, and we are gonna start more technical stuff. So what you probably heard the term jailbreaking, right? So, and it is for various Apple devices, but probably some of you don't know how the whole thing works. So we're gonna take a closer look on ways how the iPhone can be jailbreaked. And when you buy a phone or any other device, and I'm talking about Apple devices, you get the device that comes with limited capabilities which are dictated by Apple. So this means that any application, games, or other things that are not included in a standard iPhone feature set will not be available to you unless you jailbreak the phone. Jailbreaking is the process of modifying iPhone software, and we're talking about the kernels. And the kernels, it is like a tunnel. It's a communication bridge between the hardware and operating system. So the process of modifying the iOS kernels called the jailbreaking. So jailbreaking is not illegal, guys. Okay, and actually the jailbreaking tools is released within the very short time, and I'm talking about the 24 hours when the vanilla operating system is being released. So companies like Pangu, and they just releasing it really fast. Now we have the unlocking. Unlocking is, you know, some people also, they mix these two terms. Unlocking is not the same as jailbreaking. So what is unlocking? An unlocked iPhone can be used with any carrier, not just those that have been approved by Apple. This means that you can use an unlocked iPhone with like a T-Mobile or any operator abroad without issues. And many people unlock their phones when they're moving or traveling overseas because international roaming rates are very high, and it could be used with any local SIM cards. So Yes, David. So, but basically, you know, I've heard so many times that right now the term is unlocking, also used for Androids. So this term kind of, it was transferred to Android, but originally basically it came from Apple, and like the big definition of the unlocking is it's when you can switch to a different provider upon the termination of the contract. So this is how we do it. Then we have the routing, guys, and because it is the equivalent to jailbreaking, but you know, because Android is the open source operating system, and rooting your phone can give you the opportunity to do so much more than your phone can do out of the box. So whether it's wireless tethering, speeding it up with overclocking, customizing the look of your phone, and here's what you need to know about the rooting process and how to find it on your phone. So what is rooting exactly? It's a means modifying the OS Linux kernels, okay? So for iOS, it was just kernels. For Android is a Linux kernels. And it means giving yourself root permissions on your phone. So, and it is very similar running programs as administrator in Windows. So with a rooted phone, you can run applications that require access to certain system setting, as well as a flash ROMs to your phone, and you can also add all sorts of different data and to enjoy your phone. So very important is no, guys, you have to understand, rooting and jailbreaking is not illegal. It is absolutely legal. So, and you can do anything you want to your phone. The only downfall is if you bring the rooted or rooted Android or jailbreaked iPhone to the App Store, or you know, any of your Android provider phones, you are losing your warranty. And yes, Alex and Alena were absolutely right. But it's, you know, as far as being illegal, no, it's your phone. You know, this is you can do anything you want to. And I personally, you know, I know a lot of people who like their Apple devices, but they will, you know, they will just install the jailbreaking. Yeah, with the banking, we're going to be talking about banking applications. They are not allowing you to install or operate on the rooted or jailbreak devices, even when the you know, even when the developers options mode is enabled on unrooted devices. And we will talk about how to enable the developers mode. This is how we're getting access to our phones, and when we're gonna connect it to Android Studio and run the Linux command lines to operate with our Androids, you'll see. But if the developers options menu is on, your banking application would reject open this. They will tell you, oh, developers options are on, so just you have to shut it down, and only then your banking application is gonna be doing. Do testers test on the jailbreaking phones? It's not recommended. Why? Because it's an industry, and basically, like I said, iOS 11, it's all kind of, they stole all the ideas. But no, we do not test on the jailbreak Apple devices, but we always test on the rooted devices. We prefer testing on the rooted devices because we're getting a better understanding what's going on with our system. But absolutely, David, the customers, they have no idea, you can do that. They just use their phones on a daily basis. And I'm pretty sure you guys, before we started these sessions, unless you're Android or Apple enthusiast, like a mobile enthusiast, you had no idea, how to do it and what to do it, right? So most of the customers, they just they care less for that. So guys, this is the Android. The slide is in front of you. So and the more we start learning about the routing process, and you will absolutely have to know these terms, because you'll probably run into the bunch of terms that could be confusing. And I kind of created a couple of slides that you guys would need in the future to better understand. So routing. Routing means you have a root access to your device. You can root either by installing the super user application or by flushing a custom ROM that includes root access. Then we go to ROM, and ROM is the modified version of Android. It may contain extra features, a different look, speed enhancements, or even a version of Android that hasn't been released for your phone yet. And here, guys, have you ever heard of this Cyanogen and Lineage? So basically, Cyanogen, anybody, any enthusiast, Android enthusiast, Cyanogen mode, anybody? Anybody know what it is? We're going to be talking about that. So if not, that's fine. So then what we have in here, we have the kernel. And the kernel is one of the most important components. And it is a component of your operating system that manages communication between your software and hardware. So, for example, if you're having the security issues with, with your phone, and it penetrates kernel, that tunnel, that communication bridge, then your phone is pretty much doomed. So, there are lots of custom kernels out there for most phones, many of which can speed up your phone or increase your battery life, among other things. But, especially if you're at the very beginning of the, being enthusiast for Android, you have to be very careful with kernels, because the bad kernel can really cause serious problems with your phone and possibly even break it. It's breaking your phone. So then we have the radio, and radios are part of your phone's firmware. Your radio controls your cellular data, GPS, Wi-Fi, and other things like that. You can sometimes find custom radios for your phone that you can flash yourself. But again, anything, which is aftermarket or below market, off market, it could cause problems. Then we have the flash. Flashing essentially means installing something on your device, whether it be ROM or kernel or recovery that comes in form of the zip file. Sometimes the rooting process requiring flushing this zip file, but sometimes not. Then we have the bootloader. You know, it's like your BIOS on your computer. So it is your lowest level of the software on your phone, running all the code that is necessary to start your operating system. So unlocking your bootloader doesn't root your phone directly, but it does allow you to root or to flash custom ROMs if you desire. Then we have the recovery. And your recovery is the software on your phone that lets you make backups, flash ROMs, and perform other system level tasks. The default recovery of your phone can do much, but you can flash a custom recovery, and we're usually using like a clockwork mode or TWRP. Then we have the non-Droid. Non-Droid, it's mostly coming from the third party. It is a recovery modules. You can make backups on your phone called non-Droid backups. Then from now on, you can hate me, you can love me, but this ADB is forever gonna stuck in your head. It's ADB, no, not ABD, ADB. It stands for Android Debugging Bridge, and it is a command line tool for your computer that can communicate with Android device. So when we install Android Studio, and this is basically the reason we are installing Android Studio, is to learn how we can communicate with our device using Android Debugging Bridge tool. It comes from SDK, Software Development Kit, in Android Studio. We're gonna have some torture installing it, you know, gonna be some frustration. That's why I want some of you guys who are familiar with Android Studio, like Kirill, I want you to jump and help the team members, because Android Studio 3.2 is getting complicated. There are so many extra features should be installed from the manager and updates and everything. Don't remember what it means? ADB, Android Debugging Bridge. So, and brick, you know, and brick is basically what we call breaking the device, Android device. So, couple of questions again between the will rooting void my warranty? Yes, it will. Rooting is illegal? No. Can I unroot my device? Yes, if you decide you don't like being rooted, you can often find instructions how to unroot your phone as well. And the same applies, guys, for Apple devices. So you can, go back to the original operating system provided by Apple by connecting your phone to the iTunes and just download the updates and, just replace the operating systems. Are any phones unrootable? Well, and I'm just kind of giving you the all information that is available to me. So is any phones unrootable? This is a tough question. So in the past, many manufacturers have tried to make unrootable phones with like harsher protections, but they're usually still rootable in some way or shape or form. So the more likely scenario is that if you get a new phone or a phone that had a recent update, that root exploit isn't available yet, of course, but if you want to absolutely root it, probably the Nexus devices, they are the devices that could be rootable and unrootable. Another questions I receive here in class: will routing speed up my phone? Not on its own, guys. So all routing does is to give you the root access. So, however, it does open the possibility for other tweaks that can speed up an old phone. Can it ruin my device? That's another thing. Yes, could be, you know, because some devices, they're not designed to be rooted. Root will allow you to delete pre-installed applications. Yes, absolutely, you can get rid of that. Then, on online, can you hear me? I'm personally inviting you for my audience. Okay, so that's my 4th time I'm inviting you to talk about something that you want to talk. I am available to you tomorrow after 3 o'clock. All right, thank you. All right, so tethering, guys, that's another term, you know, nothing sophisticated. Tethering is the use of your cell phone or other mobile device that is connected to internet as the modem for another device, and it's usually a laptop or Wi-Fi only tablet. So benefits of tethering. Tethering enables us to go online from any of our laptops, tablets, or any other mobile devices. So, but you guys have to be careful. It's usually, it's usually draining the battery. So if you don't have the charger, the tethering is not gonna do, is gonna do the damage in the sense of the draining your battery, not damaging it, of course. So, and also that tethering is totally depend on your cell phone service provider and your cell phone modem. So the major wireless carriers in the US are now charging extra monthly fee just to tether your phone or use a phone as the Wi-Fi hotspot if for more than one device to go online. So if you decide, I heard Natalia said illegal. Nope, Alexander, you are wrong. It is absolutely legal to jailbreak your device or to root your device. The only downfall is that you are gonna be losing your warranty. Okay, so again, jailbreaking, like Alexander is saying, jailbreaking is not illegal. Rooting is an equivalent to jailbreaking. Rooting is legal. Jailbreaking and rooting is they are legal. Okay, both of them are legal. Okay, so you have any other questions, guys, about jailbreaking and rooting? All right, well, looks like, are we all set on that? Well, it's Olga, it's just, why do they call it differently? Like I said, you know, Apple and Android, they're not in the best relationship. So, and they want the terminology, whoever came first with the terminology, they just want to keep it authentical. So, and when we are saying, oh, this phone is jailbreaked, and I can automatically assume this term officially applies to Apple devices, okay? I know that lots of people are using rooting for Apple phones. Technically, it's correct, but the terminology-wise, is not. So jailbreaking applies for Apple devices, and rooting is for Android devices. This is this is just the industry, you know. It's all about just being cocky, being proud of themselves. Nothing specific, nothing technology-wise. And like I said, you can define, routing is the more defined system. Linux kernels for Android, and for jailbreaking you're modifying just kernels. So that's all, you know. But of course, guys, you can use it anyhow. Any other questions for that? Want to learn to do that? Narciza, it's fairly simple, because once you have the operating system, it's very, very easy to have a jailbreaking tools, because they are released really fast. You know, once the vanilla version released, it's just there. You know, there's nothing you can do about that. So then we have the platforms, guys. Let's talk, or you guys have any other questions? What about running the device by routing? You can do that. You know, it's again, you know, you just have to flash the ROM and just do it in there. So nothing. And you see, we're going to be talking about the cyanogen and lineage just a little bit. BIOS for PC, it's more like an Android, David. So anything else? We lose the old data. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, because you're installing the absolutely new operating system. Anything else? Will we lose all data after routing? Yeah. Okay. Anything? All right. Okay. Anything? All right, guys, let's just go to platforms. We're just getting deeper and deeper in our sessions. So maybe in a couple of sessions, we're going to start really manipulating with our Androids. Let's talk about the platforms and OSs. Mobile application development platform is the type of the software that allows a business to rapidly build, test, or perhaps deploy mobile applications for smartphone and tablets. And mobile operating system is an operating system for smartphones, tablets, personal device organizers, and other mobile devices. So if you can see, guys, the statistics shows it's a market share, and how many Android devices are being used, iOS devices, Windows Phone, and some others. So it kind of, you know, every single device is being tracked. So it's very, very hard to hide the device, because there is always the mobile phone tracker. There's a special program the analysts run. So what are they trying to figure out and get the access to? So first, to technology coverage. And this tracker provides total market size and like a vendor share for the technologies area, and for like core coverage, like a product category. Feature phone, is it feature phone? Is it smartphones? Okay, then we go to the vendors, and there are basically 150 plus vendors. Price bands, $25 and higher. Screen size band, ear interface. Then they always track the operating systems, which are Android, Windows phones, Symbian, iOS, BlackBerry, and it's just so many other. Then the geographic scope, they're trying to figure, you know, especially the Asia and Pacific, and also including Japan. basically in there's 16 countries. Canada, Central and Eastern Europe, it's basically 10 countries. Latin America, it's 8 countries. And, you know, Middle East and Africa, it is 19 countries. Then the coverage, the forecast coverage, the core forecast coverage, like a product category, air interface, operating system. It's just all being collected. And of course the deliverables. And this tracker is delivered like on a quarterly basis via like a pivot table. And basically everything you do, guys, is being tracked. There is no such a thing is being, you know, online without any trace. I thank you so much for the session 3. Where do I read from? I have my notes compiled and I get I'm basically subscribed for many different forums, some technical forums. I constantly receive an updates, and I compile my notes is depending on what we're going through, but I'm constantly educating myself to deliver it to you guys. All right, so the bottom is the chart. Okay, this is Android. Android is divided by some of the operating systems. All right, and also it has the share of iOS, which is green. Okay, and Android is taking like 69.18%. Okay, so this is just like a market share, guys. All right, so thank you so much for being with me. Now with the homework, it's gonna be posted tomorrow after 3 o'clock because I have class in the morning. Okay, team leaders, please make an announcement. Any team leaders in here? Your homework is going to be posted tomorrow after 3 o'clock California time, Northern California time. I have class in the morning. Thank you so much, guys, for being with me. I hope we resolved all issue and we're gonna become best friends, you know, by session 4. All right, have a nice night, everyone.